Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to America once again, and this is yet another one of the beers that I brought back with me from my recent trip over there, and we're going to go to another different state this time that I haven't reviewed all that many things from. So for this one we are going to go to Minneapolis, and we're having a taste of my first beer from Surly Brewing Company. Now this one is the First Avenue +1, and it comes in at 5.1% ABV, and it's a golden ale. Now my only other encounter that I've ever had with Surly Brewing Company was the Todd the Axeman, which was a double IPA, if I remember correctly, that they did in collaboration with Amar Bryghus from Copenhagen, just over the water from me here in South Sweden, and that was really nice actually. So it's really cool to go over to America and be able to try one of these beers from a brewery that's pretty well renowned these days actually. These guys are probably the best known brewery in the state of Minnesota. So yeah, this beer I actually bought at my hotel bar in Iowa when I was there, and I just recognised the name of the brewery and thought I need to get one of these to take away with me. So really looking forward to trying this one, and again I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. It's quite unusual to come across a golden ale these days, and it's quite a difficult style to get right, so we'll see how we get on. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Surly Brewing Company. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course, apart from Todd the Axeman. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So yeah, to tell you a little bit about the brewery then, on to my brewery notes. So Surly Brewing, as I mentioned to you earlier, are based in Minneapolis in Minnesota, and they were founded back in 2005 by Omar Ansari. So he'd been homebrewing apparently since 1994, and he later apprenticed at New Holland Brewing Company, famous for the Dragon's Milk beer in Michigan. But he recruited Todd Haug as his brewmaster, who stayed with him until about 2016, and soon after he recruited Todd, they started brewing in Brooklyn Center, which is just one of the kind of, I don't know if it's right to call it a suburb or a district of Minneapolis. But over the next few years the brewery continued to expand quite quickly, and by 2012 they were producing 21,000 barrels of beer, which grew to 50,000 barrels of beer by 2015. In 2011 the brewery announced that they wanted to open a brew pub in Minneapolis, but at that time unfortunately the state laws prohibited the sales of beer on the premises where it was brewed, so theoretically speaking brew pubs could not exist in the state of Minnesota. So at this point they worked closely with the state government and enabled changes to the law that would actually allow brew pubs to exist within the state, and then this was signed into legislature and it was nicknamed the Surly Law. So yeah, these guys really helped the craft beer industry along quite a bit in Minnesota. But after this they purchased an 8.3 acre plot in Prospect Park in 2013 to build a new $20 million brewery, so it was a pretty heavy investment actually, but they opened this in December of 2014. But today the brewery in Brooklyn Center operates a 30-barrel brewery, while the one in Minneapolis operates a 100-barrel system, and as of June 2019 when I'm filming this review they've produced over 350 different beers. It was 357 to be precise that were listed on Untappd, and they also have an on-site tap room at both breweries, and in the Minneapolis brewery they have their pizza upstairs restaurant as well, which looked very nice. So yeah, somewhere that I hope that I can go and check out at some point. Maybe if I visit my colleague Pete, then I can go and have a little look at some of the different Surly beers. So yeah, really cool, as I say, to review my first main beer, if you like, from Minneapolis. I think the other one I reviewed for you before was the Alga Shells, which was really nice, but this is my first, I guess, new wave craft beer, if you like, from Minnesota. But as I always say, it's cool to try different beers from different states in America, because I know the distribution laws are a little bit crazy, in fact. So it's difficult to get beers even from neighbouring states in America. So yeah, cool to try one of the really well known, really well renowned Minnesota craft breweries, in fact. So yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself then. That's all you really need to know about the brewery for just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, of course, you can check out the brewery website in the description below, and you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that too. If you want to check out the beer lists, you can check out their Untappd and Rate Beer pages too. So yeah, let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself then. So as I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a 5.1% blonde golden ale, however you want to term it. It's hop with sterling, and it's got a malt base of CMC Turo and Vireman Carafoam, and also some flaked corn as well. So yeah, as I say, a style you do not come across all that often these days, and it's quite difficult to get right, in fact. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before you open it up. There you can see, there is the Surly Brewing symbol in the beer. If I move it back a little bit, you can see there is the whole can artwork. I do like that kind of music score type thing that it's got there. It says on the back here, dearly beloved, an old Minneapolis bus station, an abrasives factory in the burbs. From these humble beginnings sprang the last great rock club in the country and one of America's leading craft breweries. A collaboration just makes sense. First Avenue and Surly Brewing Company are proud to present Plus One, an easy drinking, classic style golden ale that's perfect for the entry, the main room, or anywhere the music hits you. Plus One, you're on the list. And that's another thing I actually should have mentioned, is that these guys do host metal concerts and things like that at their brewery. So, you know, pretty cool that actually in that regard, and I think that was one of the main reasons behind naming the beer. I think Todd Halve was quite into his guitar playing in a couple of bands and things like that too. But yeah, so interesting beer this one. So without further ado, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. A 5.1% golden blonde ale, however you want to actually term this beer. So yeah, let's just see. Oh, this one's going a bit crazy. Sometimes that happens when you're doing craft beer reviews. A bit annoying actually, but yeah, we'll get it out and into the glass. A little bit of spill there, but it should be okay. Annoying when that happens. Bad beer. But yeah, well, not bad beer, naughty beer, probably correct to say. So yeah, as you can see with this beer then, it's poured a really nice golden straw colour actually, which is kind of what you would expect from this style. So yeah, definitely a lovely, yeah, pretty much as you would expect, to be honest with you. It's if I hold it up to the light pale golden straw colour, quite an active carbonation in this one, as you could see when this thing exploded. Maybe this one just got shaked around a little bit too much actually when it was on the plane. So you can see a nice little bit of carbonation heading up towards the bottom of that head there. There's a, I would describe that as a half fingered frothy white head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just, you know, being very, very active in there. I'm not sure how well you can see that. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see that this beer is quite clear in terms of its character, but you know, it does look pretty nice and pretty much what you would expect from a golden ale. And that's one of the things, I'd be curious to see how this one exactly, how it differs from a nice Pilsner or something like that. Usually just be the different yeast strains and stuff like that they use and the fermentation temperatures and stuff like this. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. So yeah, nice little bit of a pale malty quality to this one. A nice little bit of a slightly biscuity note in there, which is really quite nice. So it's pretty much kind of what you would expect in that regard. A little bit of white bready quality, a little bit of pale malt, maybe even a little touch of kind of corny sweetness, but it really reminds me, the aroma that comes out of this one, the biscuity malts, reminds me a little bit of McVitie's digestives actually, and I like how that kind of comes out. So it does have a nice little bit of a sweet malty quality to it, this one. You know, I will say that this isn't the most pungent aroma you're going to come across, and I'm sure this isn't the boldest beer that Surly Brewing Company do. They are more famed for their IPAs and things like that, right enough. But yeah, a nice straight up beer, this one. This one's going to be a really kind of sessionable ale rather than anything else. But yeah, in terms of the hoppiness then, the Sterling, from what I remember, it's almost like an American version of the Noble hops, if I'm remembering correctly. It's got a nice kind of light floral aromaticity to it, very reminiscent of the likes of Hallertau or Tittnanger from Germany, the Satz hop from Czech. Not quite as pungent in its floral aromaticity compared to Satz from what I remember. Nice little bit of kind of lemony, grassy sort of esters coming out of it as well, and maybe some appley, peary esters. I mean, there's not too much going on with this beer in terms of the aroma, but you know, it's quite nice and it smells quite inviting. I think this is going to be a nice, crisp, easy drinking beer. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But we're going to have a taste of this one now and just see how we get on. So this one is the First Avenue +1 from Surly Brewing Company in Minneapolis in Minnesota over in America. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, I mean, this one, it's very, very just straight up, as I was suspecting it would be from the aroma. I mean, in the middle of the palate, you can feel that sort of pale malty quality just blanket in the middle of the tongue. The further you go into the aftertaste, you can feel it dry out a little bit, and there are one or two sort of grainy elements just pushing their way out of this one. In the very centre of your palate, you've got a nice little bit of a kind of biscuity sweetness in there. It's not quite strong enough to be caramel in there, to be honest, but there is a bit of a German smoothness to this one. You know, when they're using Weirmann malt from Bamberg, Weirmann is very distinctive for how smooth it is, in my opinion. But yeah. Yeah, I like how this one is I do like how this one's going together. It's, you know, this by no means is this beer going to be one that blows your mind. And one of the key things I think we can talk about with this one is the difference between the likes of a Pilsner beer and a Golden Ale. To me, the Pilsner is always very, very crisp and very, very light. The Golden Ale does have a bit of that crispness from the hops, but usually it's just a bit thicker in the malt base. So, you know, this beer, it does have some Pilsner qualities to it. It definitely has a little bit of that German sessionability, if you like. So that's nice. But it's just got that slightly thicker and more oily mouthfeel to it. So it's interesting to talk about that. The Golden Ale is a difficult style to get right, but I have to say, Surly Brewing Company, they've done a good job of this one, so thumbs up to them for this. I wouldn't hesitate to drink this again, but to be honest, if I was trying more Surly beers, I'd probably be a bit more inclined to try something that's a bit bolder than this. But yeah, you know, easygoing, sessionable beer, this one, nothing wrong with that. So yeah, malt base, like I say, nice little bit of biscuity sweetness there. It's not even very caramelly in the middle of the palate, but just a nice little biscuity sweetness to it. And then it becomes a little bit more grainy the further you go into the aftertaste. Back corners of the palate, you've got a little touch of a slightly earthy note. It's not like a noble earthy note, it does have a little bit of darkness to it. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, it's got a little bit of a floral aromaticity to it, which is nice. It's not quite noble or anything like that. It's definitely a slightly darker, almost slightly dank American type floral aromaticity again, which is quite interesting. But round the very front curve of the palate, it seems that this Sterling hop makes a really big transition from being quite dark and floral to being very light and grassy around the front curve of the tongue. And I don't think with any of the noble hops that I've come across, be it the Dana or the Styrian Goldings or the Czech Sats or the German Hallertauer Tettnanger, I really don't think I've had one that has quite such a big transition from the floral side of things to the grassy side of things, so that's worth noting as well. Behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And for me, this one, again, is pretty straight up. You've got some of those slightly lemony, grassy type fruity esters coming out of it. There's a little bit of a peary, appley ester coming out of the beer as well. But you know, overall, this is just a really nice, light, easygoing session beer. There's not too much more you can say for it, to be honest. It does have a little bit of a German quality to it from the malts, the Weirmann malts in particular that are in here, and it does have a little bit of an almost noble-ish hop quality to it with the grassy side of things. So yeah, not quite, you know, so to define a Golden Ale, you know, it's got a little bit of the Pilsner aspect to it. It's got a little bit of that kind of Pilsner lagery quality, but just a little bit thicker in the malt base. And of course then you've got the Belgian blondes to think about as well, which are a good bit more kind of yeasty and things like that, and even sort of thicker and more oily in their mouthfeel. But yeah, I like this one, so thumbs up to Surly Brewing Company for this one. But I think for my next beer from these guys, I will definitely try one of their kind of more bolder IPAs or stouts or something like this too. So yeah, but nice job on this one, I have to say. I do like my German Helles beers and Pilsners and stuff like that, so it's cool to try things like this every so often too. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, yeah, I would describe this beer as being fairly light-bodied. It is at the top end of light-bodied, right enough. Carbonation does have a good bit of smoothness to it, like I said, not quite as crisp as you get from a Pilsner lager beer. Overall, the mouthfeel, it does have a good little bit of oiliness to it. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness. I would say we're talking, I think you're talking about maybe 30, maybe 40 IBUs at most with this one. It does have a nice little bit of a bite to it. In the malt base, I'd say a good balance between the smooth kind of smoothness, a little touch of sweetness in there, a little bit of graininess as well, and just a little bit of a fruity quality also. But yeah, a really nice balanced sessionable beer, this one. There's not much more you can say about that. It's one that's just meant to be drunk quite easily in session, and you know, nothing wrong with that. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one then. This one is the First Avenue +1, a golden ale coming in at 5.1% from Surly Brewing Company in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. You know, cool to try my first beer from these guys. This one's just quite nice and easy going. Not the boldest beer you're going to find from them, but you know, it does the job in terms of sessionability. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Surly Brewing Company as well, and I'm sure I'll return to these guys at some point fairly soon. And do let me know some other Minnesota breweries that I should check out when I do make it out there to visit. But thanks again for watching, and I will catch you guys out very soon. The First Avenue +1 from Surly Brewery in Minneapolis in Minnesota over in America. Until the next time, Slanja just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slanja, skull.